The dead of stars. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Artemis, her fingers drumming against the polished surface of her command console. The holographic star map projected before her showed a region of space that few human vessels had ever ventured into. The Cygnus Void, a sector notorious for strange gravitational anomalies and unpredictable radiation surges. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual signal," Lieutenant Darius Kim reported from his communications station. "It doesn't match any known pattern in our database." Alina moved to his station, her brow furrowed. "Can you clean it up?" "Working on it now." Kim's fingers danced across the interface, filtering out interference. "There, I think I've got it." A strange, melodic voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken standard. "This is Sovereign Guide Thela of the Xalar Collective. Our stellar arc is failing. Catastrophic core breach imminent. Any vessels within range. We require assistance. Our people face extinction." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew about the Xalar, an ancient advanced species that had deliberately isolated themselves from the galactic community for centuries. Their technology was legendary, but they were notoriously distrustful of other species, especially the relatively newcomer humans. "How far are we from the transmission's origin?" Alina asked. Her navigation officer, Commander Isabel Chen, checked her readings. "At maximum burn, 14 hours, Captain." Alina's second-in-command, Commander Marcus Adebayo, stepped closer. "Captain, our mission parameters are clear. We're supposed to be mapping the radiation patterns in this sector, not conducting rescue operations. Fleet Command would require a formal mission adjustment, which could take days to approve." Alina's eyes remained fixed on the distress signal's waveform pulsing on the screen. Days that Xalar didn't have. "Send a message to Fleet Command, informing them of our intention to respond to that Xalar distress call," she said firmly. "Captain," Marcus lowered his voice, "that's not protocol. We need prior approval." Alina turned to him, her expression resolute. "By the time approval comes through, there might not be anyone left to save. Send the message, but set course for the Xalar signal immediately. I'll take full responsibility." Marcus nodded, knowing better than to argue further. Alina had earned both admirers and critics throughout the fleet for her willingness to bend regulations when lives were at stake. "All hands, prepare for maximum acceleration," Alina announced. "Engineering, I need everything you can give us." As the Artemis altered course, Alina called her senior staff to the tactical room. Dr. Lyra Santos, the ship's chief scientist, brought up a holographic display of their destination. "What exactly are we dealing with?" Alina asked. Dr. Santos manipulated the hologram, expanding it to show a massive vessel, the Xalar Arc. "Based on the signal and our long-range scans, the Xalar are traveling in what appears to be a generation ship. It's enormous, nearly 20 kilometers in length. The problem seems to be with their propulsion system, which uses an artificial quantum singularity." "In plain language, Doctor," Alina prompted. "They're essentially using a controlled black hole as a power source," Santos explained. "Something has destabilized it. If it collapses completely, it will tear their ship apart and potentially create a temporary micro-singularity that could threaten anything nearby, including us if we're close enough." "How many Xalar are we talking about?" Marcus asked. "Impossible to get an exact count from this distance, but based on the vessel's size and what we know of Xalar population density, somewhere between 3 and 5 million. Alina felt the weight of the situation settle onto her shoulders. "What can we do to help them?" "Our ship isn't equipped to evacuate that many people." Chief Engineer Raj Patel, who had been quietly considering the data, spoke up. "Maybe we don't need to evacuate them. The Artemis was equipped with experimental quantum field stabilizers for our research mission. They weren't designed for this, but theoretically, we could modify them to help contain their singularity long enough for their engineers to implement repairs." "Theoretically?" Marcus questioned. "It's never been tested in these conditions," Raj admitted. The modifications alone would push our systems beyond their intended parameters. If it fails, we could accelerate the collapse rather than prevent it. Elena nodded slowly. What do you need? Time, mostly, and permission to reallocate power from non-essential systems. You have both. Begin immediately. The next 14 hours were a blur of activity. The engineering team worked non-stop to modify the quantum field stabilizers while the rest of the crew prepared for the risky operation. As they approached the Xalar vessel, its true scale became apparent. It dwarfed the Artemis like a whale beside a minnow. Scans revealed the situation was even more dire than they had anticipated. The quantum singularity was fluctuating wildly, sending destructive energy pulses throughout the Ark systems. They'd got hours, not days, Dr. Santos reported grimly. Open a channel, Elena ordered. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, slender being with iridescent silver skin and large, multifaceted eyes. Intricate patterns of light pulsed beneath its epidermis, a biological feature that Xalar were known for. I am Sovereign Guide Thela of the Xalar Collective, the being said. You have responded to our call when we expected none would come. Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earthship Artemis. Elena replied. We're here to help. Your offer honors us, Captain, but I fear you do not understand the severity of our situation. Our quantum core is failing. Even now, we are evacuating our central sectors. Elena glanced at Raj, who nodded. We have a plan to stabilize your core temporarily. It should give your engineers enough time to implement repairs. Thela's eyes flickered, a sign of surprise in Xalar expression. This technology is unknown to us. It's experimental, Elena admitted, but it's your best chance. There was a pause as Thela consulted with others off-screen. Finally, the Sovereign Guide turned back. The Xalar Collective accepts your assistance, Captain Reyes. Our engineers will coordinate with yours. What followed was the most challenging operation of Elena's career. The Artemis maneuvered into position beneath the massive Ark, extending its stabilizer field to encompass the Xalar vessel's quantum core. The ship groaned under the strain, systems flashing red across every console. Field integrity at 82% and dropping, Raj reported, his voice tight. We can maintain this for maybe 30 minutes before our systems fail. The Xalar need at least 45 minutes to complete their repairs, Dr. Santos said. Elena made a quick decision. Divert power from life support on decks 3 through 7. Evacuate all personnel to other sections. Captain, that will give us the power, but the structural integrity field will be compromised, Marcus warned. The gravitational forces could tear those sections apart. Noted. Give the evacuation order. As the minutes ticked by, the strain on the Artemis increased. Hull plates buckled and conduits ruptured. Elena ordered more and more systems shut down, channeling everything into maintaining the stabilizer field. Captain, the Xalar engineers report they're making progress, but they need another 10 minutes, Kim relayed. We don't have 10 minutes, Raj said grimly. The field will collapse in 6, maybe 7 if we're lucky. Elena stood. What if we moved closer? Could we strengthen the field? Theoretically, yes, Raj said, but the gravitational shear would be catastrophic. We'd be sacrificing the ship. Not the whole ship, Elena said quietly. Just the forward sections. Begin a full evacuation of the forward compartments and prepare to separate the ship. The Artemis had been designed with the capability to separate its forward section in emergency situations, allowing the larger rear section to escape if necessary. Elena, Marcus said, using her first name for the first time in years, you can't be in the forward section when it happens. She met his gaze steadily. The separation process requires manual override from the forward control room. Someone has to be there. Then I'll do it. No. This is my call, my responsibility. She turned to address the bridge crew. Begin evacuation procedures. Commander Adebayo, you have command of the rear section. Despite protests, Elena's decision was final. As the crew evacuated, she made her way to the forward control room. The ship shuddered violently around her, systems failing as the gravitational forces increased. Forward section evacuation complete, Captain, Kim reported from the rear section. Except for you. Understood. Prepare for separation on my mark. Elena worked quickly, overriding safety protocols and programming the forward section to move into optimal position. Sealer engineers report 5 minutes to completion, Dr. Santos said. That's cutting it close, Elena muttered. She finished the preparations and took a deep breath. Initiate separation. With a series of explosive bolts and the screech of tearing metal, the forward section of the Artemis pulled away from the rear. The Lena guided it closer to the Xylar Ark's quantum core, strengthening the stabilizer field. Field strength increasing, Raj reported. It's working, Captain. Elena grimaced as the control room around her began to distort, metal groaning under impossible pressure. Warning klaxons blared as systems failed one by one. 2 minutes, Santos counted down. The forward viewport cracked, a spiderweb of fractures spreading across its surface. Elena secured herself to the command chair as artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. 1 minute. Captain, you need to get to an escape pod now, Marcus urged over the comm. Elena checked her displays. All escape pods have been launched with evacuating crew. No time. Just make sure the rear section is at a safe distance. 30 seconds. The lights flickered and died, emergency illumination casting the control room in an eerie red glow. Elena could feel the ship coming apart around her. 15 seconds. She closed her eyes, thinking of her family back on Earth, hoping they would understand. Sealer repairs complete. Core stabilizing. Elena opened her eyes to see the readings confirm it. The Xylar quantum core was returning to normal parameters. She allowed herself a small smile. Good work, everyone. Then the control room imploded. Elena awoke to unfamiliar surroundings, a chamber with walls that seemed to shimmer with internal light. She tried to sit up and was surprised to find she could move without pain. Please remain still, Captain Reyes, came a melodious voice. The healing process is not yet complete. Sovereign Guide Thela stepped into view, those multifaceted eyes studying her with an unreadable expression. My ship, my crew? Elena asked. Your crew is safe. The rear section of your vessel suffered minimal damage and is docked with our Ark. As for the forward section, Thela made a gesture that Elena interpreted as regretful. It was lost. How you survived is remarkable. You saved me. Our teleportation technology retrieved you moments before your vessel's structure failed completely. It was improbable that we succeeded. Elena slowly sat up despite the caution. So we're even. Thela's skin pulsed with patterns that seemed almost like laughter. No, Captain. We are not even. You and your crew risked everything to save my people when you had no obligation to do so. Among the Xylar, a debt of life cannot be measured or easily repaid. The Sovereign Guide placed a slender hand over what Elena presumed was its heart. When humanity needs us, when you need us, we will be there. No matter how impossible the task, no matter the cost. This is our solemn vow. Elena didn't fully understand the significance of the pledge at the time. She would understand 5 years later, when the Void Harvesters appeared on humanity's doorstep. The price of promise. Admiral Elena Reyes stood before the massive viewscreen in Earth Defense Command's underground bunker, her expression grim as she studied the approaching anomaly. The once proud metal ribbons on her uniform felt like lead weights, reminders of commendations earned for victories in conflicts that now seemed trivial compared to what they faced. Distance, she asked. General Kwan, Earth's defense coordinator, checked the readings. The leading edge will reach Mars orbit in 32 days, Earth in 35. The view screen displayed what looked like a tear in the fabric of space, a roiling darkness that consumed everything in its path. Stars disappeared as it advanced. Planets were reduced to their component atoms and absorbed. They had named them the Void Harvesters, And in the 6 months since their discovery at the edge of the solar system, humanity had thrown everything at them. Nuclear warheads, antimatter bombs, graviton disruptors, all without effect. The evacuation, Elena asked. Proceeding as well as can be expected, Quan replied, his voice tight. But we've got 10 billion people and ships capable of evacuating maybe 100 million at most, and that's assuming we have somewhere to go. The room fell silent. Every colony world within reach faced the same threat. The void harvesters were approaching from all directions, encircling human space in what could only be described as a coordinated attack. Elena's communication officer interrupted the grim silence. Admiral, we're receiving a message. It's addressed specifically to you. Source: unknown, sir. It's not coming through any of our normal channels. Put it through. The main screen flickered, and a familiar face appeared, or rather, a familiar silver-skinned visage with multifaceted eyes that reflected light like opals. Sovereign Guide Thela. Elena breathed. Admiral Reyes. Thela acknowledged. The time has come to fulfill our debt. The void harvesters approach your worlds. You have 17 of your days. Remember our promise. The message ended abruptly, replaced by a set of coordinates that Elena recognized immediately. They pointed to a location in deep space, far beyond the edge of human-explored territory. General Quan looked at her questioningly. You know these aliens. The Xelar, Elena confirmed. 5 years ago, my crew and I saved their Ark from destruction. Their leader promised they would help humanity if we ever needed them. And you think they can stop the void harvesters? Our best weapons don't even slow them down. Elena straightened her uniform. The Xelar possess technology centuries beyond ours. If anyone can help us, they can. We can't spare any ships, Quan protested. Everything we have is either evacuating civilians or positioned to buy them more time. I'm not asking for a fleet, General. Just one ship, the Artemis Aya. Quan's expression hardened. The Artemis Aya is our most advanced vessel. It's scheduled to evacuate the leadership of 6 nations in 2 weeks. If this works, no one will need to evacuate. After hours of debate, the Earth Defense Council approved her request. 12 hours later, Elena stood on the bridge of the Artemis Aya, named in honor of her former command, and equipped with the most advanced technology humanity could produce. Her old second-in-command, now Captain Marcus Adebayo, had insisted on joining her, along with Dr. Santos and Chief Engineer Patel. The rest of the crew were volunteers, all aware of the slim chances of success. All systems ready, Admiral, Marcus reported. Course plotted to the Xelar coordinates. Elena nodded. Take us out, Captain. The Artemis Aya departed Earth orbit, accelerating to its maximum faster than light velocity. The journey would take 9 days, leaving them precious little time to return with whatever help the Xelar might offer. On the 8th day, as they approached the coordinates, Dr. Santos called Elena to the science station. Admiral, there's nothing here, she reported, confusion evident in her voice. No planets, no star system, not even an asteroid field. Elena studied the emptiness on the view screen. Check the coordinates again. I've triple-checked. This is exactly where they told us to come. Elena considered for a moment. Broadcast on all frequencies. Tell them the Artemis Aya has arrived. Admiral Elena Reyes commanding. They waited, the tension on the bridge palpable. Just as Elena was beginning to doubt, space itself seemed to ripple and fold before them. Where there had been nothing, a massive structure materialized, a perfect sphere the size of Earth's moon, gleaming with an inner light that shifted through colors humans had no names for. It's artificial, Dr. Santos whispered in awe. And it's generating a gravity field like nothing I've ever seen. Before Elena could respond, a voice came through the communication system. Admiral Reyes, I am pleased you remembered our debt. Sovereign Guide Thela said. Please approach and prepare to dock. We have been expecting you. As the Artemis I drew closer, they realized the sphere was merely one small part of a vast, hidden complex, an entire artificial solar system concealed behind technology that bent light and sensor readings around it, rendering it completely invisible. They built all this in 5 years? Marcus asked in disbelief. With their technology, yes, Elena replied. And now we need that technology to save Earth. The Artemis I docked at a vast hangar inside the sphere. Elena selected a small team to accompany her: Marcus, Lyra Santos, Raj Patel, and Lieutenant Kim. As they prepared to disembark, she addressed them one final time. Remember, we're here to ask for help. Be respectful, but make it clear how urgent our situation is. The Sealer value their privacy, but they also value their debts. Let's hope that's enough. The airlock opened onto a brightly lit corridor. Standing there waiting for them was Sovereign Guide Thela, unchanged from 5 years before. Admiral Reyes, Thela said, inclining their head slightly. Welcome to Xalar Prime. We have been monitoring the Void Harvester's approach to your worlds. Then you know we have little time, Elena said. Can you help us stop them? Thela's skin pulsed with complex patterns. We can help you, Admiral, but first you and your team must prove humanity worthy of salvation. Worthy? Marcus stepped forward, indignant. We saved your entire species. Yes, Thela acknowledged, and we are bound to repay that debt. But what we offer now is not just salvation for today, but partnership for tomorrow. Such things require certainty. Elena studied the alien leader carefully. What do we need to do? You must face the trials of understanding. Each of you will be tested. If you succeed, we will give you what you need to turn back the Void Harvesters. If you fail, Thela paused meaningfully. Then perhaps humanity is not ready for what comes after. Elena looked at her team, saw the determination in their eyes, and nodded. We accept your trials. Thela led them through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked, eventually bringing them to a circular chamber with 5 doorways, each marked with a different symbol. Each of you will enter alone, Thela explained. The trial will end when you have made your choice. Some trials test your mind, others your courage or compassion. All will reveal your true nature. We don't have time for games, Elena said, tension evident in her voice. This is no game, Admiral, Thela replied. The Void Harvesters are weapons created long ago by a species that feared invasion more than extinction. They were meant to be unleashed only as a last resort, but their creators are long gone, and the weapons continue their programmed task: to consume all advanced technological civilizations they encounter. Then why test us? Why not just help us destroy them? Because the means to stop them comes with great power, power that could be misused. We must know what humanity will do with such power once the immediate threat is past. A chime sounded, and the 5 doorways slid open. When you hear the tone, enter your assigned room, Thela instructed. The trials begin now. Elena stepped through her doorway into what appeared to be the bridge of a starship. Through the viewports, she could see Earth, beautiful and blue against the blackness of space. A control console sat before her, displaying tactical information about an approaching Void Harvester. A voice spoke from all around her. Admiral Reyes, you face a choice. The Void Harvester approaches Earth. You have been given a weapon capable of destroying it, but using it will create a chain reaction that will render Earth uninhabitable for 10,000 years. Alternatively, you can use the ship's engines to create a diversion, potentially saving Earth, but certainly destroying this vessel and everyone aboard, including yourself. Elena studied the console, looking for alternatives, but found none. What would you choose, Admiral? The guaranteed destruction of the threat at the cost of your homeworld, or your own sacrifice with only the possibility of success? Without hesitation, Elena plotted the diversion course. A leader's duty is to those they serve, not to themselves, she said as she activated the engines. The simulation dissolved around her, leaving her in a simple white room. A door slid open, revealing Thela waiting outside. "You have made your choice," the Sovereign Guide observed. One by one, her team emerged from their own trials, Marcus having chosen to reveal a devastating truth rather than maintain a comforting lie. Lyra having shared limited resources with potential enemies rather than hoarding them for her own people. Raj having sacrificed a brilliant discovery that would have made him famous because of its potential for misuse. And Kim having chosen to listen to an adversary rather than destroy them unheard. When all five had completed their trials, Thela led them to a vast chamber dominated by a crystalline structure that pulsed with energy. "Your species is young," Thela said, "but your choices reveal wisdom beyond your years. The sealer will honor our debt." The crystalline structure began to hum, projecting holographic displays that showed the void harvesters approaching Earth. "The harvesters cannot be destroyed conventionally," Thela explained. "They exist partially outside normal spacetime, which is why your weapons have no effect. But they can be reprogrammed." "Reprogrammed?" Lyra asked. "They're machines. In a sense, they are semi-sentient constructs created from modified spacetime itself. The original creators designed them with a specific command structure. We have spent decades studying them, learning how to access that structure." Thela manipulated the crystalline controls, and a small device rose from the center of the structure, a sphere no larger than Alina's fist, composed of the same shifting light as the sailor habitat. "This contains the command codes necessary to redirect the harvesters," Thela explained. "Once activated in proximity to the lead harvester, it will reprogram all connected units to return to their origin point and deactivate permanently." Alina reached for the device, but Thela held up a hand to stop her. "There is a cost, Admiral. The device must be delivered to the precise center of the lead harvester. Conventional propulsion cannot penetrate their outer defenses. The delivery system must be organic." Understanding dawned on Alina's face. A living pilot. A suicide mission. "Yes," Thela confirmed. "One life to save billions." Alina straightened her shoulders. "I'll do it." "No," Marcus stepped forward. "With respect, Admiral, you're needed to coordinate Earth's defenses. I volunteer." Before an argument could break out, Thela interjected. "The choice has already been made through your trials." Lieutenant Kim demonstrated the necessary balance of courage and understanding. "He is the one." Kim looked startled but not afraid. I accept." "This isn't right," Alina protested. "There has to be another way." "There is not," Thela said simply. "But take comfort in knowing his sacrifice will not be in vain. Once the harvesters are neutralized, the sealer will join the galactic community once more. We will share our technology with humanity. Not all at once, but gradually, as you prove ready for each advancement. Together, we will ensure no species ever creates such weapons again." The journey back to Earth was solemn. They arrived with just 3 days to spare before the void harvesters reached the planet. The small ship that would carry Kim and the reprogramming device was prepared with the finest technology Earth could provide, though everyone knew it was a one-way journey. On the day of launch, Alina stood with Kim in the hangar bay. "You know, when I joined your crew 5 years ago, I never imagined it would end like this," Kim said with a wry smile. "You don't have to do this," Alina said, though she knew he did. "We could find another way. Like you found another way to save the sailor." Kim shook his head. "Sometimes there is no clever solution, Admiral. Sometimes the price must be paid." He clasped her hand briefly. "It's been an honor serving with you." "The honor was mine, Lieutenant." Kim's ship launched hours later, accelerating toward the approaching void harvester. Alina watched from the command center as it disappeared into the roiling darkness at the entity's center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a wave rippling outward, the darkness began to recede. The tear in space-time sealed itself, stars becoming visible once more as the harvesters responded to their new programming. Within hours, they had vanished completely, returning to their point of origin light years away. As celebrations erupted across Earth, Elena stood quietly at the viewport of her quarters, looking out at the stars. A communication alert sounded, and she activated it to find Thiela's image on the screen. "Your emissary succeeded, Admiral. The debt between our peoples is paid." "At too high a cost," Elena said quietly. "All progress demands sacrifice," Thiela replied. "But take comfort in this. Lieutenant Kim's consciousness was absorbed and preserved by the harvester systems. When they deactivated, we were able to extract and preserve it. His body is lost, but his mind lives on within our systems." Elena stared in disbelief. "You didn't tell us this was possible. Would it have changed your decision, or his?" Elena thought about it, and slowly shook her head. "No, but it would have given us hope. And now you have it, along with something equally valuable. An ally among the stars." Thiela's expression shifted to what Elena had learned was the Xalar equivalent of a smile. "We have much to learn from each other, Admiral Reyes. This is not an ending, but a beginning." As the communication ended, Elena turned back to the viewport, watching as a Xalar vessel decloaked in Earth orbit, the first visible sign of their new alliance. She thought about Kim, about the crew of the original Artemis, about the choices that had led to this moment. When humanity had offered the Xalar a favor 5 years ago, she could never have imagined what it would lead to. Now humanity stood on the threshold of a new era, their place among the stars forever changed by a debt repaid. Sometimes, Elena reflected, the most impossible outcomes began with the simplest acts of compassion. And sometimes, the greatest adventures began when the impossible became merely difficult. Humans were good at difficult.